The Elite Globalists, with their infinite generational wealth, feel obliged to proclaim themselves as protectors of the earth and guardians of human society. They take their access to resources to mean infinite knowledge and wisdom, so of course, they know best what is good for the rest of us. Some of these elites consider everyone else mindless eaters, flocking about aimlessly like a herd requiring thinning. After dividing the Earth's resources given to us all free of cost among themselves, they now proclaim that there is not enough to share with all of us, and so they must reduce the population and control population growth for the good of us all. They have adopted the population reduction strategy instead of moving us from the fossil-based economy, moving us from the monetary system, or solving the uneven distribution of resources that resulted in an estimated 70 billion pounds of food waste in the US alone each year. Here are the top 10 ways in which they are actively reducing the human population down to an amount that they deem manageable. At which point, we will all live in a utopian society, according to people like Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab. Number 10. Targeted sterilization. Throughout history, and still today, groups of elitists utilize the philosophy of eugenics to improve the human population by deciding who shouldn't be allowed to have children. Oftentimes, this means sterilizing the sick and/or poor. Admitted cases of targeted sterilization include some 33 states of the U.S. from the 1930s to the 1980s. In the case of North Carolina, they even apologized and established the NC Justice for Sterilization Victims Foundation in 2010 to compensate victims. Other cases of forced sterilization include Nazi Germany and rumored immunization vaccines laced with antibodies to render women sterile in the Philippines and in Africa. In China's totalitarian system, the elites directly implement their famous one-child quota. Sterilization ploys throughout history usually end up playing out as some sort of racist scheme. But the ultimate goal is self-administered population reduction methods, such as abortion. Number 9. Wars. Wars have the obvious effect of reducing human population, but what may not be so obvious is the international bankers who benefit from funding both sides of wars through central banks in each country owned by the same private group of elites. Wars accomplish population reduction while at the same time enriching war profiteers. The world has always managed several fronts of wars at any given time. However, the war on terrorism promises perpetual wars with no end in sight and a rising death toll that comes with it. Number 8. No cures for diseases. I have very little respect for modern doctors. In my opinion, they don't deserve to be called doctors at all, with the exception of surgeons. Doctors of the recent past were actually much better at understanding the entire human body and how the various parts of the body affect the other. Whoever came up with the idea of specialists in medicine is not operating with the intent to help humans. Once again, the elites who own the medical schools and approve the curriculum compartmentalized medical knowledge in such a way that doctors graduate without understanding the full picture. This is why all the medicines created for diseases by the pharmaceutical companies who employ doctors make people sicker than if they had just remained with the sickness they're taking medicine for in the first place. Today's doctors are simply legal drug dealers for the large and powerful pharmaceutical companies, of course owned by the elite, who render doctors impotent. Human doctors will soon be replaced by artificially intelligent machines anyways, who will do a much better job of curing the sick because they understand the entire human body. Doctors remain powerless against Big Pharma. Government regulatory bodies such as the FDA, used by the elites to fend off competitors and medical schools. Precisely why there hasn't been any cures of a major disease since polio back in the 1950s, And there won't be any cures, since drug companies make more money selling treatments rather than cures while simultaneously reducing population. Any doctor who tries to be a real doctor and actually cure people is discredited out of the profession or in some cases killed under mysterious circumstances. Number 7. STDs. Sexually transmitted diseases such as HIV are designed specifically to reduce human reproduction, shorten lifespans, while creating a drug-dependent patient forced to buy treatments since cures are purposely withheld. The main goal of STDs is to discourage pregnancies and create self-inflicted population control, which is a lot more effective than forced population control. Number 6. Environmental manipulation. Pesticides and other chemical agents in the air that cause cancers, asthma, allergies, and other sicknesses are very effective at making people sick and requiring them to buy medical treatment that makes them even sicker. While weather manipulation by DARPA and other agencies around the world directly result in disasters that appear natural and kill thousands of people at a time. Number 5. Abortions. Abortions are the result of a perfectly executed population reduction campaign that resulted in self-execution. According to the elite-run World Health Organization, there are 40 to 50 million abortions per year worldwide, or about 125,000 abortions per day. Number 4. GMOs. A future filled with genetically modified organisms such as insects, plants, animals, and even seeds is the future. Our all-knowing globalists, in their infinite knowledge and judgment, now have the ability to copy and edit genes of existing organisms to create new organisms that are then patented and trademarked. This equates to stealing public assets given to us all free by the earth and making them private for profit. These GMOs do all sorts of interesting new things, such as mate with natural organisms to prevent them from producing natural seeds, use as bioweapons, and merging them with technology to carry out even more impressive missions against the human population. Number 3. Same-sex relationships. The explosion of same-sex images in the media and Hollywood content is a planned and executed psychological operation, PSYOP, by the globalist agenda initiated by the World Economic Forum and the Bilderberg Group to convey same-sex information and indicators to audiences to influence their emotions, motives, objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior and choices of individuals on a mass scale. This PSYOP, executed over the last few decades on the human population, has accomplished its mission of creating a self-executing population reduction paradigm, thus changing the design of the human family structure from man plus woman equals children that resulted in the population boom in the first place. The acceptance of same-sex couples works even better than abortion because it stops further humans from even having the chance of being born in the first place. This has nothing to do with people's sexual preferences because people have been having sex with whomever they wanted forever. But even the Greeks and Romans, who had open same-sex cultures, never fiddled with the foundation of the human family tree. Wrapped within this same-sex culture are people suffering from gender dyslexia, who instead of being treated psychologically are being encouraged to go under the knife, take matters into their own hands, and surgically mutilate their genitals so they can live life as the sex opposite from which they were born, as if this makes them so. A person's gender is not determined by what they look like or what people call them, but by their genetics. And that can't be changed post-birth. So once again, we are dealing with a PSYOP. Same-sex relationships promise to be the most effective human population reduction tool that has ever existed. Number 2. The food supply. If you control the food supply for any living organism, you control the organism. and humans are no different. The power-hungry elites among us understand this fact fully and have been slowly modifying the food of humans with all sorts of hormones, antibiotics, and God knows what else for both profit and to affect physical change in the human body. The most evident effect of food source manipulation is obesity, early menstruation in females, reduction of testosterone levels in men, and overall hormonal imbalance that causes sexual confusion and gender dyslexia. The combination of all this feeds right into the same-sex relationship psychological operation against the human population to ultimately reduce the human reproduction rate. Number 1. Transhumanism. The ultimate goal of population reduction and control is to achieve mass transhumanism, the merging of humans with sophisticated technologies that greatly enhance human intellectual, physical, and psychological capabilities. Transhumanism would completely eliminate the need for human population control or reduction by other means, since the technological enhancements would allow the creators and administrators of the tech to literally control people's bodies and minds, thus enslaving the soul. This would accomplish the mission set out so long ago by those who were angered by the creation and ultimate freedom given to humanity by our creators.